Hey, Seth.
Hey, Allie,
We've got another fantastic guest today.
let's go.
We have Joseph Perez-Caputo, but he goes by Joe too. He is running for Congress in Connecticut, fourth district there. Really complicated process to get on the ballot, which we'll let him explain that to us. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around it. It is the wildest process for getting on the ballot I've heard thus far. But let's bring him in. Hey Joe, welcome
Hey
to Left Out
everyone,
Hey, Joe.
Loud.
thank you for having me. I really like this show. I'm amazed to be on it. It's
Oh,
it's a
thank
wild run
you.
when you
Thank you,
run for
man.
Congress, things
Yeah.
happen.
Well, we're
It's
honored to have you here.
Thank you.
And I
Before
don't
we
know
get
any. I don't know anything about this process in Connecticut. I'm fascinated to find out what it's like because all 50 states have
are
their own
so
little
different.
flavor or
Yeah.
something like
Yeah,
that, and now we get to find out about Connecticut.
So why don't
great.
we start there? Well, let me first by acknowledging that Joe is a progressive grassroots candidate. We know how much work goes into that right off the top, right? Because you don't have a lot of money. So your time and your energy and your presence is your currency. So he's doing all that, trying to get on the ballot, and he's going to law school in the evenings. I don't know, Joe, you're
Man,
like a glutton for punishment. Um, so first of all, how are you doing? How are you feeling? That's a lot.
Yeah, no, I'm feeling okay. I will not lie to you. The first week of May, when we had the nominating convention and the petitioning going on and my law school finals going on concurrently, I was not well.
No.
But I've been sleeping a little more, if not evenly, and the
Uh-huh.
campaign's going swimmingly. We've got 2 weeks to the end of the petition collection period. I imagine
Okay.
I'll have to explain the whole hodgepodge, but
Oh, yes.
it's a it's a time. I'm doing okay. I like
Good.
fighting for people. I just kind of want to fight harder and on different levels.
Yeah,
And if I get on the ballot, then I'll get to do that. And if not, there are other methods. We got to all survive together, and that's
absolutely.
how I'm going to put my full tilt into that.
Love that, Joe. All right.
Thank you.
Explain to Seth. You and I talked a little bit before recording about the ballot process, getting on the ballot and the process that it is entailed behind that in Connecticut in your district, which is the craziest I've ever heard. So
It's
explain
crazy.
to Seth and the audience what you have to go through to get on the ballot in Connecticut.
Okay, so I'm going to make it as simple as I can. It's taken me about a year and a half of due diligence, plus conferring with other candidates, plus talking to the Secretary of State for any of us to even have a clear view. It's very challenging. So here's what it is. In order to petition onto the ballot for the Democratic Party, in order to get on the ballot for the Democratic Party, there are two ways. The first is you have to get 15% of the delegates at a nominating convention. The delegates are chosen from a bunch of public servants, right? Mayors, Board of Ed, all of that. People who serve their communities, locally elected officials, right? Some of them are establishment, some of them are progressive, right? The other way is you have a 42-day window. You only get 42 days. It starts April 28th, it ends June 9th. Period. Strict under over, no ifs, ands, buts, rebuttals, what have you. You have to get 2% of the voters registered to that party in the district
The
to sign
sign,
your petition, which in
right?
our very densely packed district, because people see Connecticut, they think
Mm-hmm.
wealth, but we're very similar to New Jersey and New York
Yep.
and Massachusetts. People forget about us. We're a very densely packed area. So I personally need about 3,200. Now, historically, they say you should get 40% more and or double it because they're going to go through with a fine-tooth comb and throw out as many signatures as possible. This cursive was hard for me to read. She didn't
Stop
use her
there. Who's
maiden
they?
name.
Who's they gonna do that?
The Democratic Party. The Democratic Party,
Motherfucker.
every time, every time. I signed up to fight fascism, and that's what I signed up to do. And the people who I wanted to be on my team are the only ones I've been able to fight so far. I've had an easier time. Actually, this is probably belongs in another area of the discussion, but I've had incredible discussions with constituents, some of them who are Republicans, who've been like, dude, if you make it on the general, I'm voting for you. I
Yeah.
haven't even had as hard of a time with MAGA because MAGA is fracturing so much.
Right.
I've had an easier time talking to MAGA about impeachment, about the Epstein files, about the Iran war, and I've had an easier time bringing them into discussions about progressivism than I've had with the Democratic Party actually living up to their rhetoric of let the young come in.
Right. So I have
That's
multiple
insane.
questions. I'm going to hand it off to
Me
Seth
too.
because we take turns. But
Come at me.
I get the Democrat question. I get that. Don't.
Okay.
I'm
I'm not going to take that
put
from
a
you.
pin in that.
I'm a numbers guy. I like numbers. So you said about 3,200.
Mhm.
So I want to know how many you ended up getting and how many they tried to knock out.
We're not there yet.
Okay.
Right? So I have until June 9th. I'm
Okay.
still underperforming in my goal. My goal would have been to get about 200 signatures per day so that I would end up with like 8,500, 9,000. Because I know that they're going to
And
try
that would put you in the clear.
because they're going to cut 2 or 3 grand.
Wow.
I know they'll succeed. I know they will find a way. Right? Did they use their maiden name? Did they move? Did they only register to vote like less than 90 days ago? How active are they? They will find, and they will go in with lawyers and they will do like a background check and they will find a way to cut as many as possible because frankly, they're scared of how healthy a primary would be for the party. And I think it protects donors. I don't think it strengthens the incumbent. I don't think it strengthens the party, and I don't think it strengthens the voter option. And it certainly doesn't strengthen democracy, but it does strengthen the investment on the part of the donor. So when these bigger companies can give 4, 5, 6 grand, thanks to
They
Citizens
get a
United,
nice return on that.
they can be assured that they're not giving that money to someone who's going to get unseated.
Yeah.
And I think that's the reason Connecticut has its strict ballot access laws. I truly am convinced, after everything I've learned this year, that that is the only logical reason. I went into a pulpit for a second. I apologize.
Now,
I'm
what
just
kind of
very
law?
enraged.
Quickly, what kind of law are you getting into, Joe?
So I had wanted to get into entertainment law specifically because my history as an actor and working with community theaters. I wanted to do intellectual property and copyright to give a working class blue collar artistry. I wanted to kill the starving artists. This idea that you need to be ground under the machine or be a multimillionaire. I wanted to create a very thriving, healthy, happy, working class artist, not caste, but working class, using the law to do that. And I still think I can, but obviously I think I've drifted a lot more into legislative advocacy, congressional research, and just overall burning the government down and rebuilding it better.
I was going to say maybe you should flip that to constitutional law, but I mean, I don't know.
It's going to be rewritten, period.
Yeah.
It's just about who's going to be doing that. That's a big statement,
Yeah.
but it's true.
Yeah.
It's about when and who.
Ooh,
So
this is going to be a real one. I can feel it. Okay.
Buckle up, kids.
I love it. I'm here for it.
Here we go.
So based on that, based on that first answer, based on talking about the petition process and the sort of old guard of the party, you know, protecting their investments, their donor investments, is the Democratic Party capable of reforming itself from within?
You know, that's an amazing question to ask someone who's running to be a Democrat, right? But before I was trying to be a public servant and run for office, I was just a person, and I would tell you no.
Yeah.
If I'm speaking for my constituents, maybe not, because I need to believe in something better and work towards it. But if I'm speaking for myself, no. We need to evolve first, right? Like the whole idea of the revolution will not be televised.
Yeah.
Right? It's in your mind. I think by the time the Democratic Party fully evolves, everybody that comprises it would have already created a new macroorganism, and then it would just simply be a name change to reflect what we already are. I think it can reform from within, but I don't think it's the way we think about that. I do think it's going to be the rise of third parties that actually represent its values better and start
Or do you think
undermining
it's
the party.
possible for like a progressive takeover of the party?
Yeah,
we're seeing
absolutely.
a lot of progressives pop up this election cycle.
It's the only thing in the last 10 years that have given me hope.
Yeah.
Since, I mean, a lot of this comes back, we can dial this back to any point in American history, but a lot of it dials back to 2010. 2010, Republican opposition, dawn of the Tea Party, the
Mhm.
racialized underbelly.
Yep.
That's the exact energy source that fueled the current Trump presidency. And I try not to say his name, but I do want to be clear. Because at
Yeah.
the end of the day, it's so easy to forget. But back then, the Republican Party was 7 parties. They were dead.
Hmm.
There was
Hmm.
no unifier coming in, and then he did it.
Yeah.
Right? They were limping forward.
All they
And
needed was a reality TV star.
I
That's
say
all
that
it
as
took.
I watched Fox News every day in high school, so I know that this is a good analysis. I know it's true because I was there.
Yeah.
So I think it can evolve from within. I think Zoran Mamdani is showing it. I think the fact that we have a
Yeah.
progressive caucus in Congress, there's hope here. There's seeds to
Hmm.
water. But sometimes you just have to fight off the wolves too, and that doesn't
Yeah.
mean the grass isn't growing. But like belaboring that example, but yeah, it's a convoluted mess, I think, and I think there's a lot of cause for panic and a lot of cause for hope.
I I think that's a fantastic answer.
Yep.
And as you said, Zoran is a great um, I don't know, sort of icon in the progressive movement right now. He's actually delivering on promises that he made. Also, he's a mayor, so there's a little less bureaucracy there. Um, you're going to have bureaucracy regardless of your role, but certainly he's going to deal with a lot less of it not being in a federal position. So
Yeah.
we have to that's a disclaimer. I love him,
Yeah,
absolutely
me
love
too.
him. But, being a mayor is a lot different than being a
Yeah,
congressperson.
you're still a local official. It's
Right.
an executive level. I mean, ironically, New York City mayor is probably the most important of
Hmm.
all local, political offices, but it still is technically that. And
Yeah,
legally, he's going to be in a much different bargaining position, right?
absolutely.
So another reason why it's going to be so hard to reform the party is because there's so much money invested in not reforming a damn thing, right? And I
Yes.
mean, and one of the biggest reasons for that, among others, is these super PACs, APAC in particular, who put a bunch of money into a primary race in Kentucky to get rid of Thomas Massey. And Joe, like, I mean, this is, I think we're seeing, enemy number one here. I mean, they're invested in both parties. They are trying to keep, the Thomas Masseys out. They're trying to
Yeah.
keep people like you out of the
Yep.
Democratic Party. And I just have to ask you for your reaction to all that. And I know obviously you're a grassroots guy, progressive guy. How do you feel about APAC and Israel, foreign entities, and stuff like that, and what we want to do to try to combat that?
Well, it's annoying and it's frustrating and it's unbelievable because if you stabbed me in the shoulder, I would have a reaction,
Mm.
right? Like if you harmed someone next to me, there would be a physiological response of some nature. But when a great harm is done on a macrocosmic scale to the greater bodily, politic, and legal system, the system tries to have no perceivable reaction. It
Yeah.
is not outlandish to say that the only way you could ever feasibly conquer the United States is through the mind. This is something the KGB talked about 40, 50 years ago, right? And if you undermine the 3 branches of government, use the gerrymandering system and the electoral college system, gridlock Congress, get money into politics, you've essentially done the one thing no one thought they could do. You've colonized the United States.
Mhm.
It's not an outlandish thing to say that we've entered a soft colony era where, and especially with this president who is so easy to manipulate, we're essentially a mixed Russian and Israeli colony.
Mhm.
And I don't say that to say that every single human being in that country is making a decision. These decisions are coming from very small groups,
Yeah.
and we need to take that as serious. I mean, no money should be in politics. It should be publicly funded elections. There should be a budget for them, just like everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And also, there's a direct condemning that I have, because if you spend $30 million to uplift one person and supplant another in a race, that's $30 million that is not going to that local economy,
Yeah.
right? Flint, Michigan still doesn't have water, right? It's still going through it, right? There are serious levels of money being spent that don't go to uplifting the well-being of humans in this country.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that money is coming from corporations that have price gouged us, from other countries with sometimes hostile intentions, or at least intelligence agencies that have hostile intentions, while those countries who house the intelligence agencies may actually have decent diplomatic intentions with us. Free Palestine, let me keep that very clear. But
You love
I
that.
think that it's the only way we could be conquered. We're not having Red Dawn. We're never getting
Right.
Red Dawn. We're getting Citizens United.
Yeah.
We're never getting Red Dawn. We're getting APAC, Friends of APAC, J Street, whatever they
So many
rebrand
offshoots at
as.
this point. Now that the American populace is on and hip to APAC, boy, they have really spidered out of control.
Yeah. Congress can get something done. That's why they killed TikTok. That was way too unified.
Mhm.
TikTok was
Crazy.
way too unified to be controlled. And now who controls it?
Yeah.
So,
Daddy Larry.
so that's my answer to that is ultimately I feel a physiological response as if I have been stabbed. When they sacked the Capitol on Jan 6, my stomach was churning for 4 or 5
That was
days.
awful.
Because
I was the same way, Joe.
because when a nation's capital is sacked, that is a historic event in that nation. And if
Mhm.
we don't count the War of 1812, which was still maybe some growing pains from a conflict that history tries to whitewash and politicize, that was the first time our country had ever been sacked.
Yeah.
Our capital had been sacked.
So
So when it comes to the election in Kentucky, or any election in which these millions are being spent, I feel it as if it's an act of war, because I know it for what it is, even if it doesn't look like it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great point. Those are all great points. Um, all right.
Brought the mood
So
down. I apologize.
no. I mean, these are real answers to real questions, and they're not all going to be hopeful and uplifting. This is the reality that we're living in.
Yeah.
And so, but looking forward, um, Democrats and Republicans alike are always looking to take the young vote, the younger voters. Republicans were very successful when it came to like podcasters, Joe Rogan and Theo Vaughn um, and Turning Point USA.
Mm.
It's more about identity politics, but there was something there that young people were sort of drawn to for whatever reason. My reason is a lot of it is rooted in misogyny and racism, but
Yeah.
potato, potato. What do you think? You're out there talking to people. I'm sure you're collecting signatures. And I don't know how many young people you come across that are engaged and discussing their kind of feelings and beliefs with you. There's the cat. What do you think young voters are really starving for? Taking the identity politics out of it, what do you think they're really looking for from their government, from their politicians right now?
There is, if you're a reader, it's nice to have a digital library at your fingertips, but
Mhm.
nothing beats having a book. And I think the younger generation wants something real, something they can touch, something they can own, something they can love. And I know that sounds very cheesy, but to get very general, to get very specific rather, they want something they can belong to. They want something that's trustworthy, tangible. They want politicians who make a promise, go out and bleed to complete that promise, And if they fail, to come back and be like, listen, I'm sorry. I tried.
Mhm.
Here are the reasons I failed. Can we work together to overcome those failures? They want a participatory, honest movement that they're a part of, that they can touch. I don't think they want to hero worship, right? The next
Yeah.
being. The thing that
I think they're very skeptical of that,
very, very,
actually.
I'm going to be very fair here. I've never once, and I was in his state assembly district when I lived in Queens for a while. I never once met Zoran Mamdani,
Hmm.
right? I canvassed for him 3 times, and he's the first politician that I've ever willingly canvassed for in my adult life.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And the thing that made him special wasn't just him as a being, right?
Mhm.
Which is special, and we could go into that. The thing that made him special was the movement that everyone decided, I want to take ownership in creating
Yes.
this movement. I'm tired and I'm hurt, but yes, I'm going to go out and talk to that neighbor. Yes, I'm going to go out and do this. Yes, I'm going to go out and do that. That life affirming energy, that is something that I think the young voters want. They want to know, you know what, maybe I'll own a home. Maybe I won't. But today, right now, I'm building something tangible. I'm feeling it with people who I know are real. And that's the best thing I have to move forward. In the
I
beginning of this
think that,
process,
go ahead, sorry.
no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I just think that's such a great point. I wanna pause for just a second because I've been trying to kind of put my finger on what is it about Zoran Mamdani. He's young and he's charming and he's so likable and so kind. But I think you nailed it when you said, and he had a lot of young people out there canvassing for him, volunteering for him. And I think it was the participatory sort of it all, right? It
Yeah,
was the feeling of belonging to something. It wasn't idol worshiping. It wasn't politician worship. It was, I feel like I'm in this with this guy. I feel like together we can actually make a difference. So
yeah,
you really hit on something for me there. I just wanted to punctuate it.
yeah. Thank you. Leaders make other people leaders,
Hmm.
right? It's not
Yes,
you
good
giving
leaders do.
me,
Yes.
yeah, you're not giving me power or authority. We're giving each other opportunity to create this little nexus,
Mhm.
right? This nexus is that representation, but it doesn't mean I represent you, right?
Right.
Like it says that, but that's kind of not what it is in function. It means we represent each other's interests and we raise them higher. People
Hmm.
want community. They want to build something that's real and systemic and outlasts them and sustains them. And I looked at Zoran's campaign and I was a part of it in my small volunteer way.
Yeah.
I only canvassed 2 or 3 times, but I immediately touched the energy and went, I gotta move home.
Hmm.
I gotta go back because I live right. Connecticut's right there.
Yeah. It's right
All of
there.
that happened 20, 30 miles from my house, my mother's house. So at 32, 33 years old, I moved back in with my mother so that I could run for Congress because I was already working in Connecticut,
Right.
right? So I was like, I'm already doing this commute anyway. Now I'll just change where I live and reintegrate because my district deserves this. In
Hmm.
Connecticut, we want that. We're starved for that often. And you find it in great pockets because people build it,
Yeah.
right? But you get what you build. And I think the younger generation want to build something. They want to build it together. When I first started this run, I said something that alienated me from some good people. And what I said is that the Democratic Party's chief talent is for savaging their own young.
Mm.
And I instantly pissed off a couple of people. And then I saw one person go, because that's actually what's happening now with the
Yeah.
congressional candidates around Connecticut. The Democratic Party says it wants to give you these things, but it really is a Ponzi scheme of energy. They want to take the youth to do the grunt work. It's kind of structured like a law firm, like a big law,
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
the old school.
Interns.
I'm going to take the interns and the young associates, and I'm going to,
Hmm.
if you do really well, you'll
Right.
be the state attorney. If you do really well, right? And then people burn out, right? What's the lifespan of a young local Democrat? 4 or 5 years? Most people in leadership for local politics are there because they outlasted people. They kept
Hmm.
showing up until the point where they became the president of their chapter or the treasurer, right? So I think the Democratic Party has an issue of extraction and colonialization inherent into its psyche. left over from unhealed wounds, and it needs to reframe how it moves forward to be a party that invites people to build. You have an idea? Cool. You have numbers? Cool. You have will to do it? Cool. I don't necessarily want to like change my life, but like I will support you and we'll get community. And now all of a sudden it's a big conversation. Rather than a Democratic Party that says, nope, you've only been here 2 weeks.
Or a Democratic Party that says, we're in the minority. You don't understand. You just don't get it. When we win our next election, then you'll see us do some work.
That's Jim Himes' bread and butter.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Himes, the incumbent.
Yes.
Right.
Into that.
And the do nothing Democrat kind of stereotype is what all this leads to, right? And so the people are looking for results.
Yeah.
And but the Republicans, the way that they want to run their, side of the politics is they want to distract people.
Yes.
They want to kick cans down the road and bring up stuff every single year, social issues, different stuff like that. And immigration is one that just every single year, every election cycle, they're going to harp on it. Doesn't matter who they put in office from the Democrat side, it's going to be open borders for the rest of my life. I'm convinced of it. So on your website, you call for like a complete reformation and restructuring of our immigration system. And I'd like you to tell our viewers what that means to you, what kind of steps you would take.
Oh, I've been waiting for this one. Okay.
All right.
Yes. So, right, my name is Perez-Caputo. Right, the Italians, and I've had some difficult conversations with my Sicilian siblings, right, my brothers
Yeah.
and sisters of the diaspora, but a lot of us just came here. We didn't do it the right way. There was no right way. We were called WAP, without papers. We were called slurs. We were put and sequestered into areas, right?
Yeah.
So we came here through Ellis Island. There was a choke point. You got your vaccine, right? Here's where all the rest of y'all's are. Go, right? So while that was an incredibly flawed and racist system, and other diasporas of different cultures got hurt way worse than us, Congress had an anti-Chinese immigration bill years before even a lot of the Irish and Italians came over. Like, we have a larger conversation to have about that. We Italians had a certain privilege and a certain pain. I'm from Puerto Rico. My father was born in Utuado, Puerto Rico. I'm not from Puerto Rico. I'm from the diaspora, right? My father was born in Utuado, Puerto Rico. He came here on a plane when he was 3 years old because they were looking for work. But he was born a United States citizen. Puerto Ricans are born United States citizens, but they can't vote in a presidential election. Now there's La Junta that like basically is the president of the United States, takes over the island through the advisory board. And they're a state that is colonialized ad nauseum, right? I'm very for Puerto Rican independence. So when it comes to reforming the immigration process, I come at it from a place of debt and a place of duty. This is what's owed. We have to learn from the mistakes and build something better. If anyone's ever watched Lilyhammer, which is a fantastic show on Netflix, you notice that immigration system looked pretty different.
Yeah, sure enough.
Right? It kind of opens your eyes. There's a culture shock there. The immigration system I would set up is welcome home. You have another birth cert? No? Here's your birth cert. Do you have another social? Here's your social. Here's classes in English. Here's where the people from your country tend to settle so you can keep your language, you keep your culture. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to be on the street just like the Irish and Italians used to be, right? Where there was the one neighborhood and the other. You can go anywhere. Oh, you're an electrician, you're a plumber, you're a doctor. Cool. Here's what we do. I want an integrative system where from the moment you've come here and you've announced yourself and you're signing on, right? We don't let Fox News just call you an illegal alien because they want to. You're in the process, right? I want a system that actually allows people to immigrate safely and feel welcomed and be able to pay their taxes and find work and do what they need to do, Right now, we have a system where you could do everything right, spend 20 grand, live here for 15 years, and when you show up to court to do the right thing, because you have mandatory court hearings you go to maintain your lawful residence or your green card or what have you, Fox News just calls you an illegal. ICE picks you up right outside the courtroom.
Yeah.
That's not a system.
Mm-hmm.
That's a war. Especially if you're talking about the greater Latinx diaspora, where we've overthrown some of their governments in the last 60 years.
Yep.
And many of their economic problems that they've come here to take refuge from are directly attributable to our own actions, our own
Yes.
foreign policy. And now they're here being persecuted and hunted by us again.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a lot to say about the United States immigration system. It's cheaper and more effective to build one based on humanity and shared work ethic and camaraderie and building safe families than it is to have these insane internment camps. And, you know, am I allowed to say certain words like Nazi? I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on different
Go for it.
platforms.
Go for
Go
it.
for it.
Right, you know, when you have internal memos saying like we want to hire more Proud Boys and more this and more that, like, come on. That even means that the agents who've been with the Department of Homeland Security since the early 2000s, who at least know what they're doing, are now surrounded by a bunch of weirdos, and they don't even know how to lead these weirdos. So you're actually going to burn out the handful of officers who are good at their jobs and want to do the right thing. Right? And now we're having ICE agents and Department of Homeland Security agents kind of coming out and talking about the differences between the agencies, what's wrong with it. So we need a system that completely is built separate from what we have. What we have cannot be reformed.
Yeah.
It simply cannot be reformed. It is broken, and it was broken by design, because before there was the Department of Homeland Security, there was the INS. And famously from Connecticut, right, Yale Law School famously sued the first President Bush and then second President Clinton for protective status for Haitian refugees that they stored on Guantanamo Bay. These people were sick. It was during the AIDS crisis. They were fleeing violent revolutionary takeovers. And the United States government said, well, they're black, so we don't want them to land on our shores, but we're going to blame AIDS.
Mm-hmm.
And they stored them in an internment camp on Guantanamo Bay. I was born during that time. That's the INS for you. So this is a problem that's older than every single one of us here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We could go back to the dawn of the country on it. We just need to build something from the ground up, Brandon.
I think that's a great idea. I mean, immigration reform has never been successful, and there's not a big appetite for it. And it now feeds into, it's been structured around capitalism. And so whenever money is at play, policies get corrupted and all of the humanity gets drained out, right? I mean, we need new immigration policies and a new system that is led with humanity and empathy and dignity. And I think your thoughts on that are really inspiring.
Thank you.
So before we get to a call to action and what you need from everyone to get you on that ballot, because you need to be on that ballot, Joe. Talk to us about your incumbent, Jim Himes. Talk to me
Absolutely.
about how he's performing in Connecticut. How do you feel like he's representing you and your fellow constituents?
Yeah, thank you. I believe Jim Himes votes just progressive enough to avoid major scrutiny. I think he posts his visibility just enough to avoid major scrutiny. And I do think he's a brilliant man. He's a brilliant strategist. I mean, it is a silly thing to go against someone of this kind. But silly's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
This is a man who I believe deeply misunderstands the district he represents. This is a man who I think is unwilling to talk about the Jewish population in this district and what Zionism versus the genocide in Palestine is doing to families, separate them.
Mhm.
I think this is a man who is deeply unserious about taking on this president, and I know this because I've talked with him and I've directly given him verbal ideas on how he could impeach this president, and he simply won't do it. which is why I'm in his comment section all the time about, well, you're saying you care about Ukraine, you're saying you care about this, but when we talked to you about how to prevent this, you did nothing.
Yeah.
I think this is a man who also, because of his ties to Palantir, and because of the money he's taken from Palantir and from Google and from L3Harris, and his recent work with the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, his recent work trying to get a clean reauthorization on the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, 702,
Mhm.
and now with flock cameras propping up around the country, this is a man who doesn't understand how dangerous he is. I do think in his heart, a part of him thinks he's the good guy. But this is a man who's about to become the chair of the House Intelligence Committee, and yet he has willingly tried to give the White House a surveillance state gift, worse than Orwellian. And with AI and with all these data centers popping up, they now will have the ability to do something we've never been able to do in this country before: actually police everyone. Down to the last bit of this, right? Your cell phone, your computer, your car, the roads you're on with the flock cameras. It is insanely scary, and this man is all for it.
And for the audience, he is a Democrat. He is a Democrat. And so I continue to say to people across the country that are participating in primaries, hopefully everyone is, um, do not just blindly vote for the incumbent, assuming that, well, they've been doing this job for this many years. They must know what they're doing. I'm not even going to bother to look into who's challenging them, for that seat. This is a prime example of why we just can't blindly vote blue down the ballot. Really look into your local representatives. See their vote, check their voting records. It's so important. It's not just about, yes, we have to be able to get the majority in the midterms. The Democratic Party does. Non-negotiable.
Yes.
But if we don't have the right people with having that majority in their hands, how much further are we going to get than we are right now?
He's had how much power for 17 years? I don't
Yeah.
feel like he's materially changed the conditions or safety of the people he represents.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 17 years is long enough.
Yeah.
It's long
It's a
enough.
good run.
Yeah.
That's a great run.
It's a great run.
And
You've served under maybe 2-3 presidential administrations.
Yeah, he got to work with John Lewis. He got to do a lot. So I mean, there is a time. There's a time.
Yeah, and like the increasing problem that we have with our politicians is that they're sticking around too long, and it's across our politics. I mean, Joe Biden tried to go for a second term. He probably should have just bowed out because we would have had a chance to really send somebody after President Trump, be it Kamala or somebody else, and they would have had a real primary and a real run up to the election and not had to deal with all the bullshit that we did. And I mean, RGB, she stuck around. Well, guess what? And then she passes away and Trump gets to replace her. And we don't get to replace her. And that's crazy, right?
Yeah.
And people are just sticking around too long. And it's this power. It kind of holds on to you like the Gollum's precious in the Lord of the Rings. Like once you get onto it, you hold on to it, and and they just clutch into it till they're old and blue in the face. And as a result, we don't progress.
Yeah. I 1000% agree. And now that Lord of the Rings has entered the chat and I can make these references incredibly freely because I've wanted to make it the entire time. At best, he's going to be another Chuck Schumer, or he thinks he's a Rep Sarah Jacobs. He really does. I think in his heart, when he looks in the mirror, he thinks he's Rep Sarah Jacobs and he's doing the right thing. But he's at best another Jeffries or Schumer.
Yeah.
But at worst, he's a Grima Wormtongue.
Yeah.
At worst, he's a Lord Denethor.
Uh-oh.
At worst, here's a man who, however good he is, he's really going to put us in a bad position. If we're talking crystal knocked, they're going to have a list of places to go because of some of the work that's happening right now.
And that's
And
why we say it on the program all the time. Not every Democrat is your friend.
No.
They're not.
no,
Okay. And it's why we've gotten to the place where we are. It's why we're over here, having to position ourselves like, well, at least we're better than Trump.
yeah,
Like we're not offering a real progressive movement. And that's why I feel like our time is now to
Yeah.
show to show how we separate. And Zoran is showing everybody in real time.
yeah,
Damn, like we've been waiting for this, and they've been telling us that we couldn't have it, and here is this guy doing it in 5 months.
yeah,
What the hell?
So speaking of progressive movement moving forward, you have until, let me look at my notes here. Is it June 9th? June 9th to get on that
June
ballot.
9th. June
So you
9th.
need signatures. You need
Yeah.
volunteers out there probably helping you get those signatures. So tell the audience what you need.
Yes, please. So first off, even beyond me, look up your local place. Wherever you are watching this, you probably have someone like me running around trying to see you, trying to meet you, trying to take care of you, and they're either not on the media or they're just not on your phone in front of you right now. So if you've made it this long, please look up your local area. There are plenty of people trying out there. They really are. Secondly, make a general life plan, not just to vote for this 2026 election, but if we still have a country in 2028, to do things then that didn't happen this year. A lot of really good candidates got cut out before primaries or during. That could have been preventable if we had more people involved earlier. Don't make a plan to vote in August for August or in November for November. Look years ahead because the enemy does, right?
Yeah.
The fascists do, the corporations do. So be ahead of them. But if you want to help me, which I would appreciate, I've done a lot of this mostly myself. I have about 20 really wonderful volunteers. I've brought in 8 more in the last 2 weeks. The 8 more are more or less becoming more full time. We need canvassers. We need door knockers. We need people to share posts. I would love a scheduling coordinator. I'm ADHD and I'm doing all this. I mean, law school's over, so it's a little easier.
Yeah.
But having a scheduling coordinator would be great. But please do what you can to talk to your family and friends about this, even if it's a one topic issue. If you think your uncle or your aunt is going to disagree with me on everything, that's okay. My own family disagrees with me on things. So show them the one issue where you're like, yo, I think Joe and you, like he's got your back. If you've got family in this region, anybody in the state of Connecticut, we just now learned 3 weeks ago, anyone in the state of Connecticut can help to collect petitions. We were initially told it was only Connecticut District 4. You
Oh,
only in
wow.
your own district. If you are a registered Democrat in the entire state of Connecticut, you can help any one of us get on the ballot. And
Call
any
to
one of us would
action,
be huge.
Connecticut. Come
Here we go.
on.
Yeah,
Get out
our
there.
our time is right now because come to June 9th, I don't have. It's not about the size of the dog of the fight or the fight of the dog. I'm not allowed in the ring. I'm done
Yeah.
legally. There's nothing I can do other
And
than maybe
today
look
is
at
the
2 years from now.
28th. So we're looking at 2 weeks from today. Or no,
2
I'm
weeks from
sorry.
today, or from no, it's
No, less than 2 weeks.
yeah. We're almost at the end. We have
Yeah.
a little less than 2 weeks. So I'm going to be out there on the weekends. Love to have you all along.
Mhm.
We have a very large population here. We really do. So it's not impossible. It's just improbable.
Yeah.
Right. But if everybody who liked one of my comments was able to sign, I would have been on the ballot 100 times over.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
everybody who had shared, I've had like a couple 100,000 views on my Instagram in a month. If everyone just signed, I'd be on that ballot 10 times over.
Right.
Right. So come on out, Connecticut, because I'm putting it all on the line. It's the bitter end. It's the
All
go.
right. You heard
insert
him,
sports analogy
Connecticut.
here.
Get out there. What's one day? Just get out there, knock
Yeah.
doors, canvas, get some signatures. It's, if 100 people see this in Connecticut and all go out for one day between now and June 9th,
Yeah.
it's done.
The weather's good again, CT.
I know
We're
it's
good. We got 70
beautiful.
degrees these
It's
next
beautiful
week and a
right
half.
now.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Let's be outside.
This is the time. All All right, Seth gets the final question. The question we ask every guest that comes on the show.
Sir. Yes, sir. So, every week we have a scale. We have a Democrat scale. On one side we have Chuck Schumer, and on the other side we have Bernie. And so we like to ask all of our candidates, do you commit to being grassroots, taking small dollar donations, and not taking money from super PACs, foreign entities, anything like that? Obviously, large corporations, billionaires, stuff like that.
Absolutely.
There we go.
100%.
Yeah, and
Okay.
and Joe, not only do we appreciate your time, but I mean, you're a really well-spoken dude, and I want to say, like, if this show blows up and we need an entertainment lawyer, it's good to know
Hello.
it's good to know somebody in the business.
I got
So,
you.
I
Influencers
felt
and
very at home with you, and
people.
I feel like a lot of people, if they hear what you're saying and you speak very well, like, look, like I'm at home with you. I would vote for you if I lived in
Yeah.
Connecticut. All right.
Thank you.
So
100,
everybody,
100%.
so everybody who's listening to the sound of my voice, this is a guy that really cares about you. This is a guy that understands the difference between a Democrat and a progressive. And so we're gonna slide our guy Joe all the way to the Bernie side. And Yeah, man, just the best of luck to you.
Thank you.
And everybody, make sure you go out there. Volunteering sounds like the thing that he needs the most right now to get those
Yeah.
votes in, and so let's make it
Yeah.
happen for him.
Yeah, we only have a
Get those
week and a half
signatures.
left. So, donations, yay, great. But at this
Yeah.
point, it's just boots to ground. It really
Okay.
is. It
We'll
really
see
is.
if we can get this out quick.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Joe, listen, you're just such a cool guy. I
Thank
really
you.
enjoyed having you on the show. I hope, obviously I want to see you get on the ballot. And if so, I hope you'll come back and
Thank you.
we
Yeah.
can keep pushing you out there and getting you to win that midterm race against Jim. It's
Thank you.
old Jimbo.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a good time. I'm happy to do this. This is
Thank
the
you.
fun part about campaigning when there's the internet,
Yeah,
right? Social
for
media is
sure.
not always very fun, but talking to people, this is much more
Yeah,
accessible for me.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, great time. I really appreciate you coming on, and we'll try and get this out here pretty quickly since you are running short on time.
Thank you.
So thanks
Yeah.
so much, Joe. It's been a real pleasure.
Yeah,
Thanks for
thank you,
having me.
man. Appreciate it. Well, that was a great conversation that we had. Joseph Perez-Caputo out of that fourth district in Connecticut. I mean, not only was that a genuine guy, but that you might want to have a beer with, later. But he's just a really soft-spoken, really good communicator,
Mhm.
and man, I just felt really at home with him. And I feel like the people in Connecticut, like, you gotta give this guy a shot. You gotta
Yeah.
find out more about him because I mean, this is a guy who's, finishing up law school.
Mhm.
That story where he was talking about he was doing his finals and doing two different election things at the same time. I mean, this is a guy who can keep a lot of plates spinning, and he's
Yeah.
gonna fight for people.
So much stamina and determination
Yeah.
to be campaigning while you're finishing up law school. I mean, honestly, I'm exhausted just thinking about it.
Yeah.
And I know he's tired too, but he's fighting for something greater than himself. And he's like, well, I'll just sleep when I get a chance. But for
Mhm.
now, this is the priority. I really enjoyed that conversation. Like you said, Joe's salt of the earth. So easy to talk to, but really knowledgeable, extremely smart and sharp. Um, and it sounds like Jim Himes, the incumbent, Connecticut, you better look into his voting record, please.
Yeah.
Please look into his voting record. You need a clean slate. 17 years, long enough to be in that position.
Yeah.
You need some fresh energy. You need the right kind of energy, and I really feel like Joe's the guy.
Yeah, yeah, especially like you just said, it's a fresh face,
Mhm.
somebody who has new motivation to do the job.
Yeah.
You know, these politicians, we said it in the interview, they're taking too long. They're staying in these seats too long. You should have higher aspirations. If you really truly want to help people, you should
Yeah.
have higher aspirations to move up to a senator's seat
Yeah.
or something bigger than that, attorney general, whatever. And so working in a cabinet, or maybe you have your eyes on being the president. But Joe is like, he is looking to take care of his people right there in Connecticut, where his mother stays. And, you know, that is a guy who you want in your corner. A
Move
guy
back
who knows,
into his district just to get in this fight. I mean,
right.
really
Right.
admirable. So
So,
Connecticut, he needs you out there knocking on doors. And as he said, the entire state can participate in that. You don't have to be in his district.
right.
So
That's
if you're in
cool.
Connecticut, if you have friends or family in Connecticut, my gosh, take one day. You know, if we can get, I don't know, 50 people to take a few hours next Saturday, the weather is beautiful right there right now. Beautiful in the Northeast in general right now. We're having a nice actual spring snap of weather where it's like low humidity, 70s. It's beautiful here. Get out there, spend a few hours canvassing for Joe, get him on that ballot so that Jim Himes has a real fighter in the race.
Yeah. At the very end of it, you know, if nothing else, you need somebody like Joe to push these candidates. They need to feel the fire under their ass. And Joe's got the fire. My
Yep.
man is Puerto Rican, Italian. Like, he's
Yeah.
ready to fight.
He's
He's in the
spicy.
ring, you
He's
know.
spicy,
So
yeah.
yeah, so I'm very excited that we got to talk with him, and you know, wish him all the luck in the world, because that's
Absolutely.
a guy that deserves to win.
Absolutely. All right. So another great episode. We have got another recording tomorrow, Saturday, and a little time off. But we've got a lot of episodes coming out, and we might have to speed up our pace just a little bit for the next couple of weeks because we have some people with primaries that are coming up very quickly. And we want to make sure we get this out in time to hopefully help them in whatever way we can. Substack, you get this first, early and exclusively. Go, hit subscribe on YouTube, on Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. It helps us expand our reach, and ultimately that means we get to expand the reach of these really great progressive candidates. So do what you can. There's a lot of ways to help the podcast, and most of them are free.
Absolutely. And you know, I'm just so glad that we're continuing to grow our network of people. I mean, we're almost at 20 amazing candidates, and we're not even close to being done.
No.
And Allie knows we have some pretty big news to unleash on y'all, but I'm just gonna leave that little tasty morsel. We're putting in the work. Allie's really putting in the work, and bigger things are to come.
We'll be ready to announce that. I think hopefully by the next taping. We're like right there. So, but yeah, thanks guys, for all the support. Thanks for enjoying the show, sharing the show, liking, commenting, subscribing. We really appreciate it. We're going to continue doing this as long as we have an audience for it. And I think it's so important to get these real people running for real change as far and as wide as possible in our country. That's what we need right now. So thanks for another great episode, Seth.
Yes, indeed. We'll see you next time.
See you tomorrow. Bye.